Welcome to the Cardboard Stacker. In this video, I'm going to take a look at, this is really hard to see, Soulfall by Smallbox Games. In this game, you play as a leader of a nomad tribe in a barren land known as Soulfall. On the brink of desolation, Soulfall is watched over by 6 titan-like entities known as lords. You as leader must expand your tribe, build outposts, and give devotion to the lords, and collect shards. If you have the highest score at the end of the game, you win. In the setup of the game, you get 10 nomad markers, with one side for nomads and the other side for outposts, and your corresponding tribe card, which on the back has a reference. There are 4 different maps available to play. 2 2-player maps, a 3-player map, and a 3 or 4-player map. Place the lore deck next to the map and give each player a starting hand of 4 cards. Next, turn the first card over face up on the discard. The card on top of the discard is known as the current lord. Next, place the 6 devotion cards and the tower card face up. Then form a pile out of the shard tokens. And before the game starts, players select a space on the map and places a starting nomad marker, and you're ready to play. The oldest player starts with 3 action cards. There are a total of 6 actions that players can do, but follow 2 important rules. You must take all 3 actions, and each action must be different on that same turn. The actions are populate, build, prosper, draw, play, and devote. And yes, I'm telling these out of order, so please bear with me. When you populate, add a nomad token from your supply next to a marker on the map. When you build, you can change a nomad marker into an outpost as long as you control more nomads than outposts you currently have on the map. Take a shard token from the supply when you use the prosper action. Shards are limited. If they run out, that's it. When you draw 2 cards from the lore deck and keep 1. The other discarded card will be placed in the discard pile. Keep in mind that the topmost card will be the current lord. You can play a card in your hand as an action. Each card has 2 abilities which both activate, starting with the top effect. The top abilities are usually other actions on the list of actions. Keeping in mind that you may not choose 2 of the same abilities twice on a turn, you can play a card and use the same ability on that same turn, and vice versa. Some lore cards give you a selection of actions to choose from. The bottom abilities have different effects. A card may ask you if a lord is the current lord, and sometimes it will ask you if you are devoted or not. If conditions are met, then the abilities activate. Some cards allow players to do more than one action listed on the card, and there are also non-lord cards that can be found in the deck. While not a selectable action, destroy lets you be mean and remove an opponent's tribe or outpost on the map. As an important rule, no one player can have their last marker destroyed. The last action you can do is devote. You can discard a card of the matching lord to either take that lord from the play area or steal it from another player. You can devote to any number of lords and all have unique, powerful, and rule-breaking abilities. Equinox the Tide upgrades your drawing ability to drawing 3 and discard 2. And Ginjinx the Liar now gives you a stealing ability when you take a prosper action. There are 3 things that can trigger the end of the game. If a player collects more than 8 shards, have 4 or more outposts, or has 2 or less nomad markers in their supply. The player who first triggers one of these conditions gets the tower card, which gives a 5-point bonus to the end game score. Then all players will have 1 more turn. At the game's end, everyone will multiply 2 groups of points together to get their end game score. Please bear with me. First, add the number of nomad markers on the board and devotion cards currently possess. This total is multiplied with the sum of shards and outposts. If that player has the tower card, add 5 points to that. The player with the most points wins. You see, basic algebra isn't so hard. Now let's go into the review. The first thing I have to say is that there were some careless mistakes done on the production of the game, and even improving it a little can make a good game a great game. Let me talk about the box first. You see the front cover? How is anyone going to know this game is called Soulfall? I also like to mention that the box itself could have been better. The gray board is poor quality, and the top and bottom don't fit like a glove like most games do. The game has already shown signs of wear. Perhaps I'm a little spoiled when it comes to cardboard. The cards are nice with a glossy linen finish. I wish somebody would pay more attention on the card cuts. You can see that the knife missed the mark by a hair. I also have a bit of trouble punching out the tokens since the top paper layer wasn't completely cut. The maps are thick cardboard but feel cheap. While the maps are different, there are areas on the map that are very hard to tell where you can place your markers. This and this are not spots. If I have to say if there's any saving grace for the presentation of the game, it has to be the art. The art of Soulfall is probably one of the best art used in a game I've seen. It's purely whimsical and breathtakingly imaginative. Thank you, Sandra Rybeck, for your hard work. The rules explain the game well, but I wish it could be a bit clearer explaining and give more examples. It comes in this trifold, but I don't understand why the starting page starts here, then jumps to this page, and the end of the rules is on the back. Please number your pages. There are also some minor inconsistencies in the rules. The action cards don't flow in the same way as the rules explain it, but that's a minor thing. First, I found that Soulfall is a very good 3-player game. I feel that 3 players is a good balance between downtime and player interactions. I think going for the tower mechanic is interesting. The other players do get one more turn, but grabbing the tower has enough points that you may want to trigger the end of the game. Devotion is a really fascinating mechanic in the game along with the lore deck. Not only each devotion card is worth points at the end of the game, but the abilities feel a bit rule breaking, which makes for an interesting game, especially with 3 and 4 players. I really had great games when the devotion cards keeps passing along to player. The lore cards really work well with the devotion cards. The deck is built so that there's an equal set of cards in the deck per lord. The point system in the game makes it so you can't just stay in one place like building outposts or collecting cards. And since you want to build points up, there isn't an area where an opponent is cornering off. I like to point out the game only takes 30 minutes, and it has enough weight in that amount to keep the game interesting. 4-player games in Soulfall is just a bit too chaotic for me. Because of the nature of the lore deck, the game can feel like a take-that sort of game. And the game is just a bit on the light side, and I wish it just has a bit more weight to make it more interesting. Just a minor quibble. What's with this oldest, youngest player stuff found in these games still? Please make this more interesting, and this rule should be obsolete. I think Soulfall does a great job at implementing theme into the mechanics of the game. The lore cards make sense, and the aesthetics certainly feel that way. Though the scoring changes the game from a thematic one to almost an abstract one, I really can't see how owning shards or outposts helped with your devotion and your tribe. Yeah, I can't find a reason either, but a written backstory for the game could have helped, and some players may have a little trouble understanding how the scoring is done. 3 limited actions may not sound interesting, but I found it forces you to think in a different way. It also keeps the game in balance, so there won't be any situations where a player won't go for just shards. While I didn't back the game on Kickstarter, I wanted to just talk about it. Yes, it arrived on time, yes, the art is well done, and yes, the game is good, but why was the game's production so bad? Was the game rushed to be on time, or was the manufacturer of choice wasn't keeping up with the quality? Well, I think the game deserves better. This small box game has some cool and interesting ideas in it. It's not too long and has some of the most imaginative artwork in any board game I played. While the production is spotty at best, it's still a really fun game. This is the Cardboard Stacker, and please excuse my dear Aunt Sally.